All verbs have voice. This has nothing to do with individual words being able to speak. That might require hallucinogenics. But how the verbs indicate whether the subject is the agent or the object of the action. For instance, in The Man Pets the Dog, the man is the agent. He's the one doing the action. And he's also the subject, as seen with the verb conjugated for a singular person. This is said to be in the active voice. Conversely, in The Dogs Are Being Pet by the Man, or simply The Dogs Are Pet by the man is still the one doing the action, but the dogs are now the subject, as seen through the plural verb. This is said to be in the passive voice. Most grammar books end here, but this is not the end of the story. There are at least two different ways this is bucked. The simplest way this is done is with indicating agency to something that is either inanimate or cannot otherwise do its own action. An example of this can be seen in the two lyrics, one by Jadena and one by Cardi B.
Yeah, they call me Cardi B. I run this shit like cardio.
Lady ain't a train, just cause she bounce it up and down like a trampoline.
It should be noted that these examples do come from songs that will naturally be made to fit rhyme schemes and other lyrical metrics, but this is still something that crops up in everyday speech all over the time, such as in "This plane is flying to destination." If you think about the plane example for a second, however, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Even if you want to argue that planes have autopilot, the sentence doesn't really seem to work out, and this does crop up in other places as well. The idea that we can make something that it should be passive-active is not some quirk of millennials or even a quirk of English. This is tending towards what we would call a middle voice. It's not quite active, it's not quite passive. Other languages have other examples of this. In particular, Romance languages use the reflexive, such as he shaved, to demonstrate this, where the subject is also the object, and all sorts of funny things like this. In English, however, we call this the Passival. It's not quite a middle voice, and yet there are other traces that crop up in different places that fell out of favor largely in the 19th century. However, despite these examples, there are historical examples that might illustrate this a little bit better. The word building, for instance, comes from built, clearly, but there is no immediate reason why they could not just call them builds or something else to that effect. The reason why buildings are called what they are is because of the phrase, "the house is building." The term just stuck, and yet it comes from a form of the middle voice. As you can see, it is grammatically active, but it's semantically passive because houses do not build themselves. I'd like to thank you all for watching today. If you liked, please share and subscribe. This really does help to promote the channel. But if you want more, you can always go for the daily blog or support WordFacts on Patreon for even more content, including podcasts, hypotheses, and options to vote, and even more to influence the way that you see this channel move in the future. Thank you very much, and I will see you next time.